What would you do if you found a dying snow leopard, chained and left to freeze in the mountains? Most would walk away, but Isla Reyes chose hope. She battled the cold, the poachers, and the odds, and gave Soren, the ghost of the wild, a second chance at life. Sometimes, the quietest acts of courage echo the loudest. Watch the full story, and if it touches your heart, don't forget to like and follow for more. In the frozen heart of the Karakoram Mountains, beneath a sky heavy with snow, wildlife ranger Isla Reyes stumbled upon a sight that froze her blood. Half buried under drifting snow, chained cruelly to a gnarled pine, was a magnificent snow leopard, his coat matted, his body trembling with cold. He was a ghost of the wild, breathing raggedly, each exhale a battle. His eyes, once sharp as glacier ice, were dull with pain and fear. No snarl came from his throat, no struggle, only a silent, desperate plea. Isla's heart pounded against her ribs. This wasn't just cruelty, it was a death sentence. Whoever had trapped him hadn't stayed to watch him die, but left him here alone, in chains, to freeze. Every instinct screamed caution. A full-grown snow leopard, even weakened, could kill with a single swipe. But Isla saw no malice in the beast's sunken gaze, only a spark of hope flickering against the dark. Her gloved hands trembled as she knelt, tugging at the frozen lynx. Her tools were too weak, the metal was too thick. The wind howled around her like the spirits of the mountain, urging her to hurry. She whispered softly to the leopard, a prayer, a promise. Time was slipping away. Determined, Isla sprinted back to her snowmobile, adrenaline fueling her flight. Somewhere out there, death stalked closer with every heartbeat. But she had seen that tiny ember in the leopard's eyes, and she refused to let it go out. The cold bit deeper as Isla Reyes roared back across the snow on her battered snowmobile, her heart thundering louder than the engine. In her satchel, heavier bolt cutters rattled. Her last hope. The frozen forest loomed ahead, cloaked in mist and fear. She spotted the pine tree, the chained ghost still slumped against it, his breath now a faint mist in the icy air. Sliding to her knees, Isla jammed the cutters against the rusted links. Her hands, numb through thick gloves, trembled as she forced the jaws closed. Once, twice, the cutters slipped. The leopard shuddered, a low, pitiful sound escaping his throat. His strength was vanishing before her eyes. Come on, Isla muttered, teeth gritted, muscles burning. With a sharp crack, the first chain snapped, then another. The final link fought harder, frozen solid by the mountain's wrath, but Isla poured everything she had into it. The chain gave way. The snow leopard slumped forward, too weak to flee, his body limp in the snow. Isla gently gathered the loose ends of the chain, tossing them aside as if banishing a curse. She dared a soft stroke along the great cat's flank, feeling the shallow rise and fall of his ribs. He needed shelter, warmth, food. She had freed him, but that was only the beginning. Somewhere beyond the ridgeline, the mountain hid dangers far greater than the cold, and if Isla didn't move fast, the chain she had broken would be the least of their worries. As Isla guided the weakened snow leopard deeper into the woods, a chill that had nothing to do with the cold crept up her spine. Scattered in the snow nearby, footprints, heavy boots, too large to be hers, heading in the same direction she had come from. Her gut twisted with realization. The leopard hadn't been chained by accident. Someone had meant for him to die slowly, and they might still be nearby. Following the tracks cautiously, Isla stumbled upon a clearing half hidden by trees. A dilapidated hunting cabin crouched in the shadows, smoke curling from its crooked chimney. From inside, angry voices carried across the clearing. "Should have checked on the cat. Worth good money dead or alive," one man grumbled. "We'll find it. That freak ranger can't have gotten far," another snarled. Isla's breath caught in her throat. Poachers, armed, ruthless, and they were looking for their prize. Heart hammering, she backed away, boots muffled by the snow. She had to warn the ranger station, but more urgently, she had to find the leopard again before the poachers did. Every second lost meant danger, not just for her, but for the wounded spirit she had vowed to save. The real hunt had just begun. The snow leopard staggered weakly ahead, leaving a broken trail through the drifts, but Isla knew he couldn't outrun what was coming. Behind them, distant cracks of rifle fire tore through the icy air, sharp, angry, hunting sounds. The poachers were closing in. Isla's pulse hammered against her throat as she jogged through knee-deep snow, urging the exhausted cat onward with soft, desperate whispers. Wolves, too, lurked at the edges of the blizzard, their howls threading through the storm. The mountain had become a battleground, and the snow leopard, too weak to defend himself, was a prize every predator wanted. Isla spotted a narrow ravine ahead, sheltered by jagged rocks and thick pines. Gripping the emergency rations from her pack, she tossed pieces of dried meat ahead of the cat, coaxing him to keep moving. The leopard's nostrils flared at the scent, and he stumbled forward, fueled by sheer survival. Another gunshot. Closer. Isla tightened her parka, grabbed the leopard's scruff gently, and half-dragged, half-guided him into the shelter of the ravine. They tumbled behind a boulder just as dark figures crested the distant ridge. For now, hidden by snow and stone, they had bought themselves a sliver of time, but it wouldn't last. Snow lashed Isla's face as she guided her snowmobile down the mountain trail. The rescued snow leopard wrapped hastily in an insulated tarp behind her. His breathing was faint, each jolt of the ride a battle between life and death. Isla's mind raced faster than the machine beneath her. Verdanta's ranger station was still miles away, and every second mattered. When the battered outpost finally appeared through the blizzard's veil, Isla didn't slow. She burst into the courtyard, drawing startled faces from inside. Leaping off the snowmobile, she shouted over the wind, "Injured leopard! I need help, now!" The rangers, seasoned but stunned by the sight of the ghostly cat, sprang into action. Stretchers, thermal blankets, emergency kits, they moved like a well-oiled machine. Isla knelt beside the snow leopard, brushing frost from his nose, murmuring a promise she intended to keep. As they lifted the animal into the station's small infirmary, the door slammed against the storm, sealing them in a race against nature itself. The vet on duty barked orders, IVs were set, heaters roared to life. For the first time since Isla had found him, the leopard's breathing deepened, still weak but stubborn. The battle was far from over, but hope had a heartbeat now. The infirmary buzzed with urgent voices and hurried hands. Isla hovered near the doorway as the veterinary team swarmed around the snow leopard, battling against time. Blankets warmed by heaters were draped over his trembling body. IV fluids dripped steadily into his vein, replenishing what the cold and cruelty had stolen. Each shallow breath he took was a small defiance against death. Days blurred together under the low hum of heaters and whispered prayers. Isla never strayed far, sitting cross-legged by the leopard's enclosure, murmuring soft encouragements through the bars. She named him Soren, meaning warrior of the sky, in an old mountain tongue, because against all odds, that's what he was. At first, Soren lay motionless, too broken to lift his head, but slowly, miraculously, signs of life returned. His eyes, once dull and haunted, began to flicker with a cautious light. He accepted small morsels of food, then larger portions. His muscles, once wasted, trembled as he tried to rise. Each step toward healing was hard-won, but Soren fought for every breath, every movement, and Isla fought beside him. In that tiny clinic at the foot of the mountains, a ghost of the wild was being reborn, not just with medicine, but with the quiet, stubborn power of hope. The echoes of Soren's suffering reached farther than the cold peaks of the Karakoram. As the snow leopard's strength returned, Isla Reyes refused to let his scars be forgotten. She handed over photographs of the chains, the wounds, the cabin ruins she had stumbled upon. Authorities launched a full-scale investigation into the shadows that had haunted the mountains. What they found was worse than Isla had feared: a network of poachers trading in rare pelts, bones, and blood. Raids swept through hidden cabins and illicit trading posts. Locked cages filled with trembling foxes, lynxes, and endangered wolves were pried open. Pelts stained with old blood were confiscated. Ledgers, maps, and whispered names painted a chilling picture of greed without mercy. Several arrests were made, men who had treated the mountain's sacred guardians as mere trophies. Isla stood silently outside the courthouse as the first verdicts fell like heavy snow. Guilty. For the first time in years, the Karakoram breathed a little easier. Soren's chains had not been broken in vain. His story had lit a fire no storm could extinguish, a fire that would continue to burn against the darkness that once thought the wild would never fight back. Justice, at last, had found its way through the mountains. Sometimes, the greatest acts of love are the ones never spoken, only felt. Isla didn't need words when Soren, the once-chained snow leopard, looked back at her one last time before disappearing into the mist. In his silent gaze, she saw a lifetime's worth of gratitude and trust, a bond forged not by force, but by compassion. It reminds us that real courage is quiet. Real kindness asks for nothing in return. Even in a world full of cruelty, one heart willing to stand between darkness and hope can make all the difference. Remember, the silent victories, the quiet rescues, the unseen kindnesses, they are the ones that change the world most deeply. If this story touched your soul, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more wild journeys of hope and heart.